Welcome back to the Feminine Purpose Podcast, where I, Trish, a relationship harmony and feminine soft skills expert and coach, help women like yourself navigate back home to your feminine nature so you can create and attract the relationship harmony you desire. Today's episode is probably going to be a bit different and more vulnerable. Feels kind of like the first few episodes that I had created for you all. And frankly, because let's address the first obvious thing, which is I have not created a podcast in a few weeks. I want to say by the time this podcast comes out, it's either been 3 or 4 weeks. The fact that I can't even count or tell you how many weeks it's been should tell you everything in terms of what I've been going through. But today, I really just want to talk openly and candidly about what I've been going through and talk about one of my biggest insecurities, which I think a lot of women will definitely relate with because we are women. And I know that I'm not unique in this experience, that a lot of other women go through this. So let's just dive into today's episode. I want to talk about what I've been struggling with the past few weeks, where I am in my journey of how to move through this problem and challenge I'm faced with, and as well as just open up vulnerably about my experience so that I can first and foremost catch you all up on what I've been up to, what's been happening, why I haven't made a podcast. I've made some TikTok videos, but I haven't been as active on the podcast. So I do want to open up about that a bit today with you all in the inner circle. And then I'll also be coaching you through what I'm going through and how I'm self-coaching myself through this problem that I'm faced with. I'm going to talk about how my insecurity manifests into control. And this episode is really going to be focused on how we can work through our insecurities as women, as well as how it's not our partner's responsibility to save us from our insecurities. It's going to be a good one. I know you're probably wondering, Trish, you always preach about feminine energy and womanhood all the time. And at the core of that, we talk about relinquishing control. So you're probably wondering, but you talk about relinquishing control and then you're coming on here and talking about how you've been struggling with it. You're right. I am just a regular person. Like most professionals, coaches, and experts, the one thing that we tend to have in common is that we've likely experienced a lot of struggle with what we have slowly become an expert in. I'm not saying that 100% all the time, but more often than not, when I look at all of the really successful and influential individuals from my own role models in real life to other content creators that I look up to, podcasters, etc., they have all had a journey to go through, which ultimately led them to becoming this successful person who specializes in their niche and is looked up to as someone who is a subject matter expert. For me, that's becoming a better woman overall, on a journey of becoming feminine on purpose, as you all know. So I do want to open up and talk about my personal journey of struggling with my body image, self-esteem, confidence, sexuality, etc. The approach and walkthrough I will be doing in today's episode is actually pretty identical to how we would also coach ourselves when it comes to our femininity in the context of our relationship. So it will all tie at the end of the episode, as well as how that will impact your relationship with your man. So let's get into it. I recently became quite aware of the fact that while I have grown a tremendous amount this past year in terms of my father passing away, starting Feminine Purpose, creating it, launching my coaching business, in my complete, I would say, immersion of polarity, that feminine and masculine dynamic in a relationship. There are still very much a lot of wounds that exist within my subconscious that I am generally aware of, but really felt heightened in the past few weeks. I share this with you all today because I don't want you to think that I'm above you or any other woman who experiences the daily struggle of learning how to love yourself, your body, who you are, etc. I am aware now more than ever that I still really need to dig deeper, pause more, listen intently, take deeper breaths, question my own thoughts, narratives, coach myself. And when I found myself reverting back to crossing boundaries, disrespecting my husband, just very, very unhealthy behavior that really doesn't serve your relationship, which we always discuss here in Feminine Purpose. It really isn't acceptable for us to project our insecurities onto others, especially not our romantic partner. But the reality is that many of us do, and I did recently as well. As we dive into today's episode, I want to start off with the intention of balance. This is not saying that you need to change everything you dislike about yourself or that it's even possible to love every component of yourself 100%. 24/7. That is unrealistic and that's just not normal human behavior. I would say that that's perfection and that's not realistic. So while it's not about striving for perfection, it's also not about just sitting back and not wanting to make any changes in your life. that you deeply want to make a change on and want to work on. It's the same theme of discernment, which we talk about here on the podcast a lot. And if you don't know what discernment is, check out episode 10 of the podcast, where I talk about the feminine mindset, and discernment is the third and last component that I mentioned you will need to work on developing to really grow and develop a feminine mindset. So, how do we use discernment to coach ourselves when it comes to the areas of our life and our identity that we are insecure about? And how do we channel that anxiety of needing to control those said areas in our life and our self image, and stop transferring that into our partner and instead transfer that into something more positive that will reap a better benefits for ourselves and our relationship with our partners? Well, let's start here. Ladies, I want you to ask yourself, what is one thing you are truly deeply insecure about that you actually really, really want to change? I'm pretty sure we can all identify many facets of ourselves we want to change, but for the sake of today's episode, let's use one particular insecurity and let's anchor ourselves to that one insecurity as the example as we go through today's episode. So deep down, I'm confident that you know what is probably at the very top one, two, three things about yourself that you're insecure about and want to change. So let's focus on one, again, particular facet of yourself that you want to work on, something you feel probably very deeply insecure about. Something that likely plagues your thoughts every day, comes up quite often for you. It's not something you think about here and there. It's something that really sits with you deep down. Let's focus on that and not say that the other insecurities are not valid. It's just, let's pace ourselves. Okay, girls, let's pace ourselves. Let's just focus on an intense insecurity. My example I'm going to use today is one that's very real for me, which is my relationship with my body. And I know that sounds fluffy, so let's break down what is the relationship with my body that I'm insecure about? What is it that I want to change? I want to change the relationship I have with my body in the sense of the following areas. So, the relationship I have with food, how I look and think about food, how I choose to intake my food, how I speak to my body, how I treat my body, and last but of course not least, no denying, I want to work on how my body physically also looks and appears. I'd be lying to say I'm only doing this to be healthy. It's absolutely health first and foremost, and pretty much up there right next to being concerned about my health is also wanting to look better. I think that's something majority of people can acknowledge is a very, very valid insecurity or want, is to just appear more physically healthy, have a leaner physique overall, and being strong at the same time and having that toned look, which I won't get into, but is essentially just having a lower body fat percentage and decent, adequate muscle mass on your physique, which makes you look toned. But I would say even the most fit and sexy people in the world 100% have insecurities about their body still. They may have less insecurities than someone, let's say, who is severely overweight or obese, and that insecurity for them may not be as intense as, again, for someone who is severely overweight and worried about their health. But nonetheless, I guarantee you it still exists because people talk about it. A lot of fitness content creators talk about it, right? I myself am a feminine soft skills expert who specializes in feminine soft skills, femininity, relationships, and how to navigate the polarity in a relationship. And I'm acknowledging that I have insecurities about it. So again, we still have those insecurities, even though we make traction in said insecurity of our life. However, you do become more confident in it. And when you find yourself feeling insecure, it's easier to bounce back. And so that's what we're also going to be diving into. So again, my insecurity right now is my body. I've struggled with this my entire life in terms of my relationship with my body, how I look at food, how I look at activity, how I talk to my body. So again, whatever that insecurity is, keep it in mind and use it as the example as we coach ourselves today through this episode. Let's think about your insecurity and how often does it crop up in your life. It's going to come up every day for me, multiple times a day, because we're talking about food, body movement, which all happen every day. You need to eat every day and you need to move your body every day. So I'm constantly plagued with this insecurity. I hate to admit that, but it's the truth and I'm going to own it publicly so that you can also hopefully learn to own your insecurity. So when you are super insecure about something, it almost feels like it consumes you, right? But the thing is, if you've used your discernment, you need to be, again, focusing on an insecurity that you can realistically make a change in. So let's really quickly talk about what that means. So if your insecurity is about your height, the size of your feet, something that you really don't have much control over, obviously you could maybe wear certain shoes that will give you the illusion of a different height, but that's something you're never going to really fully change. So let's just address that. Let's definitely focus on something that you know deep down you could change and something you want to work on about yourself. My insecurity, and hopefully the one you identified, is something you can control. A few examples are: you want to make more money, you want to have more sex, you want to be prettier, you want to be more confident. Guess what? For the most part, a lot of what I just mentioned, you can control. But the reality is, if you are not actively in pursuit of improving said area of your life and insecurity, you will keep yourself in this limbo state where more than 50% of the time you are likely tormenting yourself in a state of disappointment, in a rage, self loathing, projecting onto others, talking shit about the other people who have this one thing that you feel insecure about and want. And the worst part is, if you have a partner, it bleeds even deeper into that relationship because it impacts your intimacy in your relationship 100%. And that's exactly what happened to me. You will start to notice a few themes. You're triggered seeing other women embody what you're insecure about. You're jealous of other women who have what you want. You're stuck in a victim mindset, making excuses as to why you don't have it. You're mad at yourself for not being enough. You're hurt that you just can't seem to control this particular insecurity or part of yourself in the situation in the life that you have. It's disempowering, ladies. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm sick of feeling jealous. I'm sick of allowing myself to feel inadequate. Yes, I want to lose weight. Yes, I want to have a more fit physique. Yes, I want to heal my relationship with food. Yes, I want to have more natural energy. Yes, I want to feel more confident during sex. So guess what? I can fucking have all of it. But whatever I've been doing hasn't been fully working. So let's own that piece right here. Whatever we've been possibly doing isn't really working. Maybe a bit, but not really truly working. I'm not talking about the diet or the working out, because I have yo-yoed on all of those things as well. I've gained the weight, I've lost it, I've temporarily given up carbs, done the keto diet. I've done everything you can fucking think of, ladies. Not just like any other girl who struggles with body image, self-esteem, and weight. I've pretty much tried everything I could think of in an unhealthy manner, coming from an unhealthy mindset, which we will dive more into. I may have my moments and days, but generally it doesn't stick. If I look back at my life, I see more of me being in a scarcity mindset about my confidence and my body rather than one of deservingness, abundance, and confidence. Of course, I'm going to clean up my diet. Of course, I'm going to keep hitting the gym. Of course, I'm going to hit my 15K minimum steps most days. And of course, I'm going to have balance and make sure I don't develop an eating disorder and try my best to make sure I enjoy food and have my moments on certain days. And I'm going to, most importantly, learn how to mentally speak kindly to myself as I continue to do all of the action steps that I just shared. Some thoughts I'm going to make sure that I think are: wow, look how healthy this food is. It's going to fuel me and it's going to make me feel great. Damn, you squatted heavy today. Holy shit. Look at your body. She just walked 20,000 steps today. Whatever that insecurity is you're focused on right now, I want you to apply the same mindset into also your relationship. I want you to, for now, temporarily, while we do this work and coaching through your insecurity, lean into your masculine side so you can create a game plan to work on said insecurity. And at the same time, I want you to acknowledge that you deserve it. That's why you're doing it. You're not doing this because you hate yourself, because when you hate yourself and try to change something, guess what? We all know what happens, girl. It doesn't fucking work. Okay, it doesn't work. It temporarily may work. You're no longer going to come from a place of insecurity, scarcity, and self loathing. You are now going to come from a place of deserving, commitment, self control, and abundance. You can control the thoughts in your mind. Once you start having a better sense of how you can control yourself and coach yourself mentally, that will then allow you to stop focusing on what your partner is doing and trying to control them. Told you it was going to connect to femininity and control and relationships. I know it all sounds easier said than done. Trust me, I get it. I'm literally on the journey right now, sis. But the thing about working through your insecurity, again, is that it's not up to your partner to save you from your insecurity. Let me say it again. It is not your partner's responsibility to save you from your insecurities. So I'm working with a handful of clients right now, and you want to know one thing they all have in common right now, myself included. We project our insecurities onto our partner. And this isn't a knock on any of my clients. I love all of my clients. I'm so proud of them for being committed to doing the work and at the same time being vulnerable, real ass women that struggle, just like myself, just like you. They are projecting their insecurities onto their partner. But the thing about them is they're not sitting around avoiding doing the work and continuing the vicious cycles. No, no, no. They might be struggling with how to no longer project insecurities on their partners. And it's deep, deep work that we're working on individually, one on one. But they're also actually investing the time to do so outside of the relationship, working with me, doing the action items that we plan out each week, making sure that they take time for self-care, making sure that they're mindful of the thoughts that they're having. So perhaps you're insecure about your looks. I wouldn't be surprised if you're listening and that was one of your top, if not your number one insecurity that you're thinking through as you listen to this episode, just like I had openly shared. That the reality is, though, is a no amount of compliments, sexual attention, or likes on Instagram or social media from your man or any other people are ever going to give you the security in yourself that you so deeply desire and deserve, sis. If you're insecure, let's say about your financial mindset and your finances, no amount of money and promotions is going to heal that relationship you have when it comes to money, abundance, and scarcity with money. It doesn't matter. Trust me, I've been there. Adding more, making more, creating more when you're doing so from a place of insecurity and fear and self-loathing will always land you the same results, half-assed ones. It may even make it worse because if you keep feeding this insecurity and wanting to hyper fixate on fixing this insecurity of yours and you're coming from this negative space, you're likely setting yourself back. For example, if you keep trying to have a negative mindset about losing weight, which I did my entire life, saying you are never allowed to have that particular thing you love to eat once in a while, you're going to binge. And then guess what? You might even reach your goals. Great. Congrats, girl. Then you're likely going to gain that weight back if you didn't actually work through your mentality and your mindset about your body and food and activity and your physical health and your mental health. Trust me, again, I've been there countless times. The same goes for your insecurity in your relationship. No matter how many pictures you post or times your man comments heart eye emojis or reposts you or posts content of you to make you feel validated, loved, seen, and adored, you're just going to keep wanting it more and more. And you'll have to keep trying fucking harder and harder until you finally just realize you're the only one who can save yourself from your own insecurity about your relationship. You have to make up your mind and really just stay disciplined. Allow yourself to make mistakes, bounce back, keep going. That's how true change happens. Not some quick diet, 1 hour masterclass on your mindset and femininity for $100. Not trying to knock creators and coaches who do that, but that one thing is likely not going to be enough for you. It's not going to be your partner trying to give into you every single time you are demanding insert whatever here, whether it's demanding attention, demanding a repost, demanding something when it comes from that space. It's not going to ever appease you. It's never going to give you the results that you really want. If you're listening to this and vibing and thinking, I am ready, probably scared, but also fucking ready to make a change in working through your relationship with your femininity, working on your relationship, I do have one more spot for the next 3 months in my one-on-one coaching program. Starting 2024, I will be increasing my price a bit, making some modifications, all great things to my program, but I do want to provide you ladies with a chance to fill the last spot. As long as we have you signed by the last day of the year on December 31st, I will honor my coaching program's current pricing and structure. That's it for today's episode, ladies. To recap, use your discernment when it comes to your insecurities. Reflect on what is truly your biggest or most challenging, daunting insecurity. Identify is it something you truly want to change and is it something feasible that you can change. Also, work on a game plan of how you're actually going to work towards healing this insecurity and making progress in improving it. Regardless of what you're insecure about, make sure you're approaching it with an accepting and abundant mindset, not one out of scarcity and self-loathing and self-hatred. Caution yourself when wanting to work on an insecurity that attempting to approach it with this quick fix mentality will likely be more detrimental than just being patient and making it a lifestyle to work on. And last but not least, it is not your partner's responsibility to save you from yourself and your insecurities. Of course, he can be supportive and should be and hopefully be of your journey, but the reality is it's not up to him to make the change in yourself and that insecurity of yours. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. I'm feeling better and I have more content content coming your way. I've been working on a few more podcast episodes. This one was really, really personal to me, and I hope that you are able to take away some ideas, action items, or just even helping you waking up and realizing that there's something you want to change. You deserve that change, girl, but you just can't sit around and wait for it. You got to do something about it. That's it. I'll catch you all in the next episode.